What is going on, guys? It's Nathan back again doing another review video for The Walking Dead Season 4 Episode 1, 30 Days Without an Accident. Alright guys, so as you guys know, the Season 4 premiere actually aired last night, and I'm just going to be continuing this series here on my channel where I review each and every episode on that Monday after the premiere of that episode. Alright, so this is also followed up by a prediction video on Thursday for the next episode of The Walking Dead, which will be Season 4, Episode 2, Infected. So look forward to that on Thursday, so that's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. I'm not going to try to, drag it on too long, and I'm just going to hit on a few things. I'm not going to completely de-log the entire episode. So basically, we start off the episode basically with Rick farming. He's tending to his crops, and it's pretty cool actually. He comes out, everything seems like a normal day, and he puts his headphones on and he starts to, I guess, sort of farm, and he unburies a gun, and then it slowly fades into the walker sound. So it's pretty cool. It's like he finally found a way to tune out the walkers, but they're just so loud that it can't be done to the fullest intent, so the walkers are always going to be there. That's kind of what I was hinting at. Alright, so now we're just going to see a little bit more of the farm here with the pig farm, and Carl comes out, which is obviously Rick's son. He comes out and finds his dad basically in the brand new pig farm at the prison, just introduced this season, and Carl decides to name the pig Violet. And it doesn't really look well, it looks pretty sick, and Rick pretty much tells him not to name them because they're food. Alright, so I mean, I guess that's kind of true. Like, if you name them, you're gonna kind of get attached to them a little more, but if you don't name them, then obviously they're just food. Now basically, in the prison, I don't know, I like to say commissary, I guess, or commissary, commissary. Wow, I can't read. I'm reading my own notes here, but anyways. Daryl basically walks through the prison a lot and says hello to Carol and gets some food, and yeah, and they basically, they meet up at the fence and basically say there's a lot more walkers, and, it's manageable, but unless we keep ahead of it, not for long. Alright, so they're basically just, trying to figure out what they're going to do with all the walkers piling up against the fence. And, yeah, that's basically it for that. Alrighty, so, now, in Glenn and Maggie's prison cell. Alright, basically Glenn tells his girlfriend Maggie that he doesn't think that she should go on the supply run, because they're scared that she might be pregnant. And, she's not... Oh, excuse me, she's not happy about it, but she agrees because, what's best for her baby. Okay? If she's pregnant. There's obviously no confirming that she is. Excuse me. Alright, so outside the prison walls, Beth has basically gotten a new boyfriend. Her name? Jeez, that's weird. His name's Zach, and he's hitting on the supply run. And, basically, Beth doesn't want to say goodbye, whether he dies or whether he lives. She says saying goodbye is too hard. Okay, so, anyway, Bob actually approaches people that are going on the supply run, which is Tyrese, Sasha, Glenn, Daryl, Michonne, actually, too. Bob asks basically if he can help, and, they say yes, so they bring him along. Alright, so, Michonne basically makes her entrance atop a horse, and this new horse, I'm pretty sure she named him Flame. I think so. But anyways, yeah, she comes in, she tells him a little bit of details of, what's going on the outside of the walls, and, stuff like that. And she is hunting for the governor, basically. Okay, she reveals she hasn't found him, and the assumption is basically him equals the governor. You know what I mean? So she hasn't found him, but she's looking for him near Macon. All right. In the meantime, though, she is going to help out on the supply run with everybody that are going. So Rick announces that he'll be going to check on the animal traps. Okay, so obviously they have animal traps to, trap food. It's pretty obvious. But yeah, he decides to go check on those, and Carl wants to help, but Rick told him to go to story time. So, anyways, before Rick heads off, Herschel tells Rick that the rest of the council, there's obviously a council now, and Daryl, Sasha, Carol, Glenn, etc., want Rick to take his gun out with him when he goes beyond the prison walls. And he basically says, Rick, we want you safe, you bring your gun. So Rick's in this state of mind now where he's basically just stepping away from leadership and stepping away from violence to basically be a father. So he doesn't want to take his gun, he doesn't even have it on him anymore. But he does agree, and Rick takes his gun out because everybody wanted him to. So while checking the traps, Rick runs into what I assumed at the time to be a walker. Okay, really rundown woman, and we see this from one of the previews before, the Please Help Me preview, or promo. Wow, that was a voice crack. That's horrible. I'm 18, dude. Why should I have voice cracks? Anyway, she's from Ireland, okay, and she's caked in dirt and mud, and she basically asks for his help, trying to bring a dead boar back to her husband. And Rick gives her basically a sandwich instead, and was like, go on, take it. And the girl asked Rick if they can come back with, if her and her husband can come back with Rick. And she's been doing very badly on her own. And Rick tells her that if they can answer 3 questions, that he will take her in and her husband. So back to the prison now. There are children in the prison. Lots of children, actually. Little group. And basically there's a trio of girls Carl's age. And Carl and this other guy, Patrick, they approach these girls, and basically the girls are standing at the fence teasing the walkers and also giving them names. Alright, so Carl basically snaps and says they're not people and they're not pets. Don't name them. And Patrick then leaves with the girls to go for, quote, story time. So, anyways, yeah, basically back at the superstore, or the big stop, which they were going on the supply run with. Basically they were trying to clear it out. They were trying to make it safe so when they come back later to get more supplies, it's it's going to be safe. Anyway, basically Zach is trying to think exactly, which is Beth's boyfriend, by the way. Just a little part, it was kind of funny. Zach was trying to decide what Daryl was before the apocalypse, and it was a pretty big fail with a guess. He thought he was a homicide cop, and Daryl jokes around with him and says that he was undercover. So that was pretty cool. It was a pretty funny moment, lightning moment, I guess, in the middle of the episode. So that was pretty cool. All right, back in the outwoods now, backwoods, I guess, with Rick and the Irish woman. She basically explains that her and her husband Eddie got stuck on a layover to Puerto Vallarta when things changed, when the apocalypse happened. And Eddie got her through, and she asked about Rick's camp. He explains people are the best defense against walkers or people. You call them walkers. She replies. So, yeah, that, it's basically, the reason they're taking so many people in is because they need more people to defend the prison, That's what they need to do. So that's what it basically explains to her. So back at the supermarket, or the superstore, or the big stop, inside the store now, Glenn pauses next to a sign advertising baby announcements and kind of, thinks back, I guess, to Maggie. And it basically becomes clear that the reason he didn't want Maggie to go on the run is because she might be pregnant. This is, abundantly clear now. So, anyways, now newcomer Bob stops basically on the booze aisle along. And, this is to bring to the audience attention that he struggles with alcohol issues, maybe before the apocalypse, maybe a little bit after, probably before, most likely. But he was, he's struggling with alcohol issues, and he basically picks up the bottle. He picks up the bottle and decides basically to put it back. He slams the bottle on the shelf, saying that, I'm not going to ever do that again. And he just gets kind of angry. and the entire display crashes down on him, pinning him underneath. So, yeah, now he's pinned underneath the display. So, anyways, now it flashes up to the roof of the big stop, and walkers on the roof above hear the noise of the shelf tipping over on top of Bob, and they head towards the center of the roof. Now, this is where it turns pretty ugly. Basically, the roof has rotted. There's so much water up there, and a big helicopter crashed on top of the roof. It's so rotted that it can't take their weight, and all the walkers in the middle of the roof, obviously couldn't take their weight. So, there's a crash, and it basically just rains walkers from the ceiling and on all the survivors underneath, trying to gain supplies. So, now it flashes back to the backwoods with Rick and the girl, or I forget what her name is, Clara, I believe. So basically, the girl says, what Eddie and I had to do, did you have to do those things like that? Do you think you get to come back from them? The Irish woman asked Rick. And he basically says, I hope so. Basically assuming that, he hopes he gets to come back from the people he's killed. Shane, people he let down, like Lori, everybody like that. Alright, so back at the big stop at the superstore, the gang basically fends off the zombies, and Bob screams for help. Daryl uses a gun for the first time that we've actually seen. That's what I've seen, at least. First time I've seen Daryl use an actual gun. But he might have used it before. I just maybe can't remember. But Beth's boyfriend, Zach, and Daryl help free Bob. And basically, Zach ends up getting bitten on the leg. And it was a little flashback to maybe where Herschel got bit last season. So maybe I was thinking when he originally got bit, I wonder if Daryl's going to take action into his own hands, maybe cut off his leg. But he got bit in the leg and then tackled down and then bit on the neck. So that wasn't going to happen. Zach is zombie meat. He cannot come back from that. So that kind of sucks. I was actually beginning to like him for the whole 29 minutes he was alive. He was pretty cool. But anyways, moving on to the next part of the episode, where basically is the Irish woman in the camp in the backwoods. Turns out, when they get there, Eddie is no longer alive, and the woman basically was hoping to turn Rick into her into her husband's dinner, basically, As soon as she went over to him, Rick looked away for just a fraction of a second, and the girl tried to stab him. And basically she says, we never see him, but it appears... Well, she doesn't say that. What am I... I'm so stupid. It's early in the morning, guys, okay? I'm reading my own notes right here that I wrote last night. And, yeah. Anyways, so we actually never see him, but it appears that he's basically just a head in the bag, okay? And, because it's a bag, but it's not a big bag. Like, you'd only be able to fit a head in there, and it's moving around. So, Rick basically dodges her attack, and she decides to stab herself instead. And she basically says, I wanted to take the boar. I just knew I'd get you here so much quicker. She says about basically trying to make Rick a zombie meal. And, yeah, so that's what happened there. And then when she stabbed herself, she basically wants to be with her zombie husband, in the afterlife, or some seemingly afterlife, when you turn. So she asked Rick not to end it, not to kill her husband, not to kill her, and just to let them be. So, and then she also says, what were the questions? She asked Rick as she starts to die from the stab wound. Basically, Rick's reply was, how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? And why? And she basically tells that she only killed just her. And Rick asks why. And then she replies with, you don't get to come back from this. And then she says that before dying. So Rick leaves and takes the sandwich that she gave her originally, and takes the sandwich back with him, and decides not to end it. So I guess that was, it's kind of realization that you can't come back from things you've done in an apocalyptic world. So anyways, back at the prison library now. Okay, so it is, quote, story time with Carol. teaching all the kids, and there's a guy looking on, and as soon as this guy leaves, basically she uncovers the chest that she was sitting on, and she takes out an entire chest of knives, and she basically says, today we're talking about knives. And then Patrick, he asks if he can be dismissed because he's feeling sick, and you know, she obviously let him go because he didn't want to, quote, barf on anyone. So Carl then enters the room and sees the knife instruction, and Carol begs Carl not to tell his dad. And we don't really know what's going to happen there because Carl kind of just turned around and walked out. So you don't know if that was him just, you know, running off to go tell his dad quickly, or was that just like walking out as if like he never seen it or something like that. You know, that's what I was kind of thinking, the way he walked out, but I'm not sure. So, excuse me. Back at the pig farm now. Rick is back at the prison, and sadly, the pig named Violet by Carl has died, and it's a sad, sad time. Oh man, people were trending last night, or tweeting last night, basically saying, if Violet dies, we riot. I thought that was pretty funny. So, yeah, anyways, the pig has died, sadly. And back in Glenn and Maggie's prison cell, Glenn basically tells Maggie what happened to Zach on the run. And she tells him other news, I'm not pregnant, and, you know, she took a test, and she knows for sure. She basically says that they could have had one. We can have lives in here, and I don't want to be afraid of being alive. And yeah, back at Beth's prison cell. So we think this is kind of going to be a little emotional, seeing as though her boyfriend just died. But Daryl basically tells Beth that, you know, Zach didn't make it. Zach died. And she immediately basically gets up off her bunk and changes the workplace has gone 30 days without an accident sign from 30 to 0. So she just takes off the 3. And there's a little moment between Beth and Daryl. You know, Daryl trying to, I guess, sort of comfort her. But she doesn't seem, I don't know, heartbroken at all. You know, she doesn't cry. She doesn't do anything. She just says, you know, basically, she doesn't say this right out loud, but she basically says shit happens, you know? So, I don't know. Daryl's like, so you're not angry or sad about it? And she was like, you know, I don't cry anymore. And she basically asked Daryl and like what he thought. He was like, I'm just getting tired of losing people. And then they hugged, and yeah. Anyways, back at Michonne's prison cell, Michonne basically is surveying a map, and basically points her finger to Macon. And she's basically prepping to go after the governor. That's what it seems, at least. So, as before, she said that he might be in Macon. So, yeah. Anyways, back at the common area of the prison, Rick and Herschel basically discuss what happened with the Irish woman. And Herschel says, you get to come back. You do. And points out Rick came back from the brink. Baby Judith survived, and his son Carl did too. Carl's not such an angry person anymore towards his dad. He did come back from everything, you know, from Lori dying, from Andrea dying, from letting Daryl down and Merle dying, you know. He did come back from it. He's a good father now. He did come back from it, but he needs to realize that being a good father or being a survivalist can't be an option to, like, either one. You have to somehow manage to do both. If you know what I mean. Like, you have to survive in order to be a good father, but you have to be a good father in order for your kids to, I don't know, kind of learn from you, I guess, is basically what they were trying to say. Alright, so now the last and final part of this episode, basically the newcomer Patrick, which, by the way, is a voice off of the television kids show, or cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. So Patrick is basically sick, as we've seen when he left the story time, or the knife teaching. He's actually sick and coughing, and he heads towards the showers. He turns them on, you know, trying to cool off, getting a drink, turns on the shower, and he basically, he collapses. We don't really know what this is. I'm assuming that this might be the new threat, but I'm going to get in a little more detail this Thursday on the prediction video for Season 4, Episode 2, Infected, which obviously I think that would have something to do with what just happened last episode at the end. So basically, he collapsed, he collapsed, and basically the camera pans over to him, and he is dead. There's blood all outside of his nose, all on the floor from his footprints. At least that's what I've seen. Maybe he was coughing up blood, and his eyes open, and they're red, yellow, and gray. So this obviously means that he died, and he turned into a walker, and he did it really quick too. So I don't know if this new thing makes him turn into a walker quicker, because he did it really, really quick. Probably the fastest we've ever seen anyone turn. Besides Shane. Shane turned pretty quickly too, but I think this was even quicker than Shane. And yeah, his eyes open, they're red, yellow, and gray. And that's where the episode fades to black. So we have to wait until the next episode, which is Season 4, Episode 2, next Sunday on the 20th of October. And yeah, we have to wait until then to find out exactly, what happens to him. I'm guessing next episode, there's going to be a certain attack on the cell block that we've been hearing about for the past 3-4 months with the trailer. I believe there's going to be a certain attack on the cell block. I believe the prison fences are going to be starting to get overrun. That's what I do believe. And yeah, we're just going to find out exactly what happens. So I think next episode is going to be very, very high-paced, fast-paced, and a lot of action through the entire thing. So if you guys are excited for that, I'm going to be making my prediction video this Thursday on the 17th of October. The prediction video for Season 4, Episode 2 of The Walking Dead, and this one is titled Infected. So look forward to that. And if you did enjoy this review video, please hit this up with a like. It really does help out a lot. It really helps me push out these a little quicker and gives me more encouragement so you guys actually watch these videos, because this is one of my hardest series on my channel to do. Every week I have to sit down for approximately 25 minutes and talk about my favorite TV show. I'm joking, by the way. That's not hard at all. That's pretty easy. But anyways, yes guys, that's basically it for now, and I will talk to you guys on the review show and the rest of the videos on my channel to do with gaming. And if you do enjoy, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out a lot, almost to 500. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Alright.